Welcome to Live, life-inspired views for every day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. Many of you may be aware of the phrase, mind the gap. It is often heard in the London subway system. When people are about to get off their subway car, they must step over a space between the platform and the subway car. A recorded voice says in a lovely English accent, mind the gap. I love that phrase and I love playing with it. There are so many things we can use it for in living life. So, what about if we used it to remind us of the gap that exists between something that happens and our reaction to it? Last week, I noted in my journal an adage of wisdom from a newsletter I get by Alan Zimmerman. He said, Number 1, don't jump to conclusions. Number 2, learn to go from peeved to poised. And number 3, keep your sense of humor in shape. Wow, good reminders that we are all daily bombarded by people's overblown reactions, reality TV that is filled with ire, and the anger response that is becoming a conditioned position for any decisions or choices made in politics, in jobs, families, and even in churches. We call it drama, and there is no doubt it is habit forming. I'm reminded of the story about the two prime ministers sitting in a room discussing the affairs of the state. Suddenly, a man bursts into the room furiously, shouting, stamping his foot, and banging his fist on the table. The resident prime minister calmly cautions him by saying, James, kindly remember rule number 6. Whereupon James is instantly restored to complete calm, apologizes, and leaves the room. The politicians return to their conversation and are soon interrupted again by a woman yelling wildly. The prime minister again gently says, Marie, please remember rule number 6. The woman immediately calms, apologizes, and quietly leaves the room. When it happens a third time, the visiting prime minister asks his colleague, My friend, would you please share with me the secret of rule number 6? Oh, very simple, replies the other prime minister. Rule number 6 is, don't take yourself so seriously. Oh, says the visitor. And what, may I ask, are the other rules? To which the prime minister replies, there aren't any. Going from peeved to poised follows rule number 6. Going from peeved to poised invites us to mind the gap. Another way we can mind the gap metaphorically is when we are feeling sorry for ourselves with an attitude of woe is me. And so to mind the gap in that situation, I take the phrase that is coined by my cousin Corrine. She says, then we must build a bridge and get over it. I like it. My brother Pete, the former chemistry and physics teacher, has enlightened me with a new concept to put into my social understanding. The word entropy is defined as a state of chaos, disorganization, or randomness. To go from a state of entropy to order requires an intervention of energy, like the energy it took James and Marie to follow rule number 6 and find their calm, or the energy it takes to go from peeved to poised, or the energy it takes to build a bridge over a juicy attitude of self-pity, anger, or cynicism. When we do put forth that effort, we mind the gap. We bring order to a chaotic set of emotions running amok within us. If we didn't, we would easily trip over them and land in a place where we are not our best selves. That is a place we should never want to prefer to live. Viktor Frankl survived the Holocaust. He wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, and I paraphrase, no one can take away my freedom of choosing how I will react to what happens to me. In other words, we have the freedom to mind the gap or not. So, what speaks best to you? Mind the gap, from peeved to poised, or rule number 6? Think about it, and then pick one of them, put it on your bathroom mirror, and practice it. Join me next Monday for Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.